So I went on a plane ride recently. I had been talking to James's dad for a while about getting up in his plane. He has a plane and it's in an airfield pretty close to my house. And as I'm pulling up, it's in the morning, I'm walking down the sidewalk towards the plane, and James's dad is already here. He's got his aviators on, all that kind of stuff. He's looking pretty pilot-esque. And I'm walking up to the plane, and I realize as I'm walking towards this plane, I'm committing to something, you know? I'm saying, hey, James's dad, I'm going to put my trust in you. I'm going to put my trust in the fact that you know what you're doing. You're a trained man who knows how to fly this plane, but I'm also putting my trust in the plane itself, in the hardware, in the wings, in the gauges, and all that kind of stuff. And I realized it was a pretty big commitment. I trusted that he was going to be able to take off, that he was going to be able to stay in the air as long as we needed to, and that he was going to be able to land the thing. And so I was willing to put that trust in him. And so I got in the plane, and it was a lot of fun, and some cool stuff happened when I got inside the plane. So we both went to get in the plane, and I was excited. I was ready to get up and get going and all that kind of stuff, to get in the air. And as I'm moving my seat to the right place and put my seatbelt on and everything like that, he hands me the headset. He puts his headset on as well. And so now we're talking over the radio over some things. I'm starting to look around, and I realize that none of these gauges make any sense to me. There's all kinds of things going on, and I couldn't explain or figure out how to work them on my own. But he's telling me how the different controls work, and what certain controls make the responses different on the flaps of the plane, which then controls where we go and everything like that. And then he asked me, so you ready to get up and go in the air and everything like that? And I say, yeah. And he goes, okay, well, before we get up in the air, we need to check off a few things. So he hands me this notebook. He says there's a checklist in there. We need to go through everything. Now, he's done this 100 times, and he knows everything that's going on. He could have done all this stuff by himself. But he hands me the checklist, and he says, alright, read it off to me. We're going to work through this checklist together. And so we start checking through things, making sure things are working. And I realized that when we're checking through things, something is going on that's really, really cool. He's bringing me into his environment. He's bringing me into his knowledge of this situation, of how to fly planes, and he's sharing it with me. So the experience that I'm having is being enhanced, and I'm having a better experience and learning more knowledge about flying, about this plane, because he is willing to bring me into his knowledge and into the experience with him by giving me some responsibilities. And I think that was a really cool thing, and I had a lot of fun once we got up in the air because I knew more about what was going on. So I came out of my flying experience with James's dad with two things. Took a couple things out of it. I took out of it that I had to put my trust in James's dad, that he knew what he was doing, that he was in control, and that I was okay with that. And the second thing that I took out of it was that I got more out of the experience once James's dad shared the experience with me, once we were in it together, when he brought me into filling out the checklist and figuring out how everything was going on. That knowledge is what brought me into the experience with him. And I realized that that's the exact same thing that God does with us. He is in total control. He's got it all down. He knows how all the gauges work. He knows how to fly. He knows how everything's supposed to go. And he shares the experience with us. He's not a separate being who just tells us what to do and then leaves us alone. But he shares the experience with us. He gives us things to partake in, gives us responsibilities, and that's the beautiful thing. And that was the amazing thing about flying, and that's also the amazing thing that God brings us into, and that's why we can trust him.